Welcome back to the 4A Baseball Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. It is another week of baseball, and we're getting closer to summer vacation for all of us. And I know that's exciting because we got more content that's coming your way. But today we've got a little bit of a weekend recap as well as some talking points that we want to go through, talking about how that AL East is just an absolute battleground. There's some teams that have fallen into the graveyard. Tom has set us up with some buys and sells. And of course, we got to hit our beginning of the week stimulator. How you guys doing today?
Doing good. I'm ready to argue, and I'm ready to, defend my points here. I think there might be some interesting takes in this episode, and I'm prepared to go to war. Steves, how are you doing today?
I'm tired, like always, but we're here to talk baseball, and that's really what matters.
Yeah, we like baseball. Baseball has been pretty fun over the weekend. There's about 13,000 no-hit bids. Every single game started with dueling perfect games. That is actually something that happens at every game because pitchers don't allow hits before the game starts. Now, Eduardo Rodriguez had a really good start. He took one into the eighth inning. Yesterday, Spencer Strider took one into the seventh inning. I think there was one. Oh, Drew Smiley had one against the Dodgers that got into the eighth inning. Obviously, those are two of those three guys, the exact candidates you'd expect to have a perfect game, but it doesn't. You can't necessarily predict what's going to happen on any given day. That's what makes baseball fun because there's 162 of them. So we're going to kick it off first. We kind of want to talk about just what the absolute hell is the American League East, right? The worst team in this division is a 500 team. That's 12 and 12. The best team in this division is 20 and 3. What are you guys' thoughts on the first 3 weeks of the American League East?
I don't want to be like LeBron James, but honestly, I'm not that surprised. I really am not. If you had told me a team in the NL East is 20 and 3, I wouldn't have picked the Rays to be that team. But the fact that they're all above 500 or at 500 is not too surprising to me. But the fact that the Rays are on top of the AL East is something that is definitely surprising to me.
I mean, for me, I think I expected all of them to be good, and I expected the Red Sox to be kind of on the lower end of that. Again, like Tom said, like the Rays being 20 and 3 is like absolutely incredible, and I think they're undefeated at home. Um, yeah, they are. They're 14 and 0 at home. It's just wild because and it sucks if you are an AL East fan. Like your team's like 12 and 12, and they should probably have like they should be winning in some divisions or at least like competing for it, but they're last in their own division.
And Sebs and I were looking at this right before the episode started. The two teams have the hardest strength of schedule left for this entire season are the Orioles and Red Sox. So if there's definitely be a little bit of regression there. Probably going to be a little bit more steep with the Red Sox, as you know, Chris Sale hasn't been good. Corey Cooper's just been atrocious. They've been, as we talked about it on countless occasions at this point, they are all or nothing when it comes to the offense.
Yeah, definitely.
And then you have the Blue Jays, who are kind of shaky so far. The offense is very good. We don't really have doubts about that. But Gossman, he came back from his start in Houston and comes back. And who the Blue Jays face over the weekend? The Yankees. The Blue
Yeah.
Jays handed the Yankees their first serious loss over the weekend. And Kevin Gossman went 7 innings, no earned, 11 strikeouts, shutting down the Yankees. Adam Simber decided to make that game interesting at the end. But the Yankees do lose their first series of the season, putting them in fourth place in the AL East.
Yeah, you don't see that happen too often. But it appears the entire AL East is, competitive. And I think everyone in that division, I don't think any of those teams even will be selling at the deadline, even if they are at the bottom.
What do you think it would take for the Red Sox to be trade deadline sellers? Or
I
just
think
it
they'd have
won't happen?
I don't think it'll happen. I think the fact that they've committed to Devers, and I think they're going to commit to Verdugo during the season. I feel like they're going to be moving in more of a retool, less so than like a rebuild. I feel like they're not going to be big sellers. Maybe sell off some pitching talent, but they're not going to be getting rid of any position players.
What talent do they have at pitching?
They don't have any talent. That's what I'm saying. Like maybe someone that can, eat innings. I don't know.
If Kluber can have a bounce back for the rest of the season, maybe you could ship him to get some sort of D tier prospect, but that's about it. Or maybe
Uh,
Kenley, because Kenley's a 2-year deal.
Kenley's been good. Kenley's been good.
Kenley
Yeah, so
and or Chris Martin was okay, and now he's on the IL. I don't know. Adam Duvall is still out. That's one I could see getting moved. Trevor Story's supposed to be back at some point. You've got Mondesi who got knee surgery last year and hasn't come back yet. I don't know. I really don't know.
I don't think they are too far from competing again. I just think this is not the team that's going to compete. So, I mean, there's going to have to be a retool. They cannot sell the entire team though. They're too close to being good again.
So I wanna ask, right? In your eyes, Tom, what's the difference between this Red Sox team and the Cubs team?
This Red Sox team can like,
Yeah, because they're kind of trying to like it
well,
feels, at least in my opinion, they're trying to kind of reverse rebuild as well. But you were a little more in on the Red Sox than you were like the Cubs. So I'm just interested to see what you feel is the difference.
I feel like, well, first, a lot of the deals in the offseason for the Cubs, other than Dansby Swanson, were all 1 or 2 year deals, which is not going to give you a window to compete. This is more of like a confusing move for them. I mean, if they were going to buy players out for 1 or 2 year contracts, you would expect to be competing within 1 to 2 years. But their main piece being Dansby Swanson for what was it, a 7 year deal? How many years? Yeah. I mean, you have 7 years to compete with Dansby, but the whole core is going to be gone in 1 or 2 years. With the Red Sox, they did a similar thing with Kenley Jansen in the 2 year deal, but also they got Devers for 10 years. That is the player they're going to be building around. And they also have younger talent in Alex Verdugo, who has been having probably the breakout season that you guys have been looking for years now. And they also have a good offense. I mean, Adam Duvall was, very good. He's also signed to a shorter term deal, but that's a guy that can probably get extended. They have a lot of cap space compared to the other teams in all of New England. But I have more faith in this Red Sox team than the Cubs. The Cubs are, while surprising, still lower in my eyes. I feel like the Cubs are, you know, getting lucky at every turn. I mean, not getting lucky in the sense that the players getting lucky, but in the sense that everything's working out for them. Nico Horner's been breaking out. Swanson's looked great. Patrick Wisdom went from batting like .52 to now like being up in top 3 in home runs and RBI, and now he's getting on base again. It's like everything's working. Even Trey Mancini's having a little bit of a bounce back. There's a lot of things that are clicking. Marcus Stroman's having a Cy Young beginning of the season. There's too much going right for this team. Everything is clicking. This is probably like the 2021 Giants version of the Cubs. Everything seems to be working for them, and it's still probably not going to be enough to make them a playoff contender.
See, I would say that given just the organizations as a whole, I think the Red Sox are in a better situation, or sorry, the Cubs are in a better situation than the Red Sox. Because the Red Sox won't sell at the deadline. I think they have to be on pace to win like 60 games in order for them to sell at the deadline. And I don't think they're going to do that. I think if they're on pace to win 60 games, they'll buy at the deadline, in all honesty. Because I don't think they understand what it means to lose. I don't think their fans will accept that.
Yeah.
I even forgot to mention Ian Happ. I mean, there's just a lot that went right for the Cubs. And
they
at this
extended
point
him,
now, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I think it's a good move. And I think that now looking at the Cubs, compared to my preseason predictions where I was negative on the Cubs, a lot went right. And, that's how it works. I mean, I guess now from my perspective, I'm probably going to be preferring the Cubs, but I don't see either of those teams as playoff teams. I mean,
Oh no, neither do I. Unless the Cubs can keep this pace, but I don't think they can. I don't think Stroman is a Cy Young candidate. I do think he is a good pitcher, but I also don't think the rest of the Cubs rotation is going to continue. Drew Smiley had a perfect game through 7 innings and then, got tackled by Yan Gomes. But I don't think that he's going to continue to keep that up, right? I just think that the Cubs are in a much better situation, even heading into the season, than the Red Sox were. Because the Red Sox went out and they signed Masataka Yoshida to a 5-year deal, and then they extended Devers. The Cubs went and then they got Dansby Swanson. They had a couple pieces that they could extend. They also have young guys like Crow Armstrong. The Red Sox have Tristan Casas, those types of guys. I don't know. These teams are very similar in my mind. And I think the Cubs have a slightly better future, in my opinion.
And then
enter Tom. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Red.
I was going to say, you get your point. So I was going to circle back to the Red Sox and where they are.
Okay, at the beginning of the season, you cannot tell me that you thought Ian Happ was going to be good. Ian Happ was outside of our top 10 in outfield. He's good, but no. What are you saying, Brad?
I
Please,
had
please,
him in my top 10.
you had him in your top 10? I don't
Yeah.
believe you had him in your
I'm
top
pretty
10.
sure
Oh,
he was just outside of my top
yeah,
10
he was
too.
outside of all of our. He was outside of me and Stev's top 10. He did not make the cut for us.
But like barely.
He was. He's not the star that people hype him up to be. Going into the season, especially coming off of last season where he had an OPS, I think under 800. I don't. You can fact check me on that. Picking up Cody Bellinger, who's now conveniently batting 300, and who hasn't done that since 2019. And Seiya Suzuki, obviously, that was the guy that I was excited to watch. But I had no hope in guys like Patrick Wisdom. I thought Nico Horner would regress significantly, but he's looking like one of the best in the game right now. Dansby, I mean, he's still he can still hit for contact. But there's guys on this team that they picked up that just that no one would have expected what over. No one thought Eric Hosmer would, be even batting above 240 right now. No one thought Trey Mancini was. I mean, maybe Trey Mancini, but like there was a lot of really, stretched out moves here that I'm a little confused about, and it seems like everything seems to work for him.
I don't think they're as far ahead as the Red Sox as Sevs and I are putting it right now, but I don't think the Red Sox are nearly in as good as a situation as the Cubs. I could see the Cubs competing for a playoff spot. I don't think the Red Sox have a chance at the playoffs.
Especially since they're in the AL East.
I think
You
it's no,
can't
I think it's
even
just because I think the American League race is going to be significantly more close than the NL.
Well, right now, that doesn't look entirely true. Again,
It
we're
does.
25 games into the season at like 24, 25 games. And right now, the Dodgers, the Phillies, the Padres, and the Cardinals are not in the postseason.
Yeah, I mean that same goes for this. I mean, it's also Houston, Seattle. I mean, those are guys that you would expect that would be, even sorry, the Guardians too. That's another big name that I probably should have mentioned. Those guys should be in the postseason. I think we could do a segment later where we kind of talk about, two teams have to go, and we give the five wild card teams and or the five wild card potential teams, and then drop the two that wouldn't make it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Took me a
Yeah,
second there. It
yeah,
took me a
yeah, yeah.
second. Yeah. Okay. I wanted to circle back because like you mentioned, like the Red Sox are in the AL East, right? And this is the best division in baseball right now. It's not really close, but you kind of have to understand like the Rays are going to be a perennial team. The Yankees are going to be a perennial team. The Blue Jays really got like 1 or 2 more years before they got to figure themselves out and what their future holds. The Orioles are young, like they're just getting started. So being the team that rebuilds right now wouldn't be the worst situation for them. They're not going to do it again. Their fans would never let them do it. But it really wouldn't hurt, especially when your starting rotation is poor. Like your starting rotation is Chris Sale, who has had one good start, and the rest have just been atrocious. Kluber is old. I think those were Stev's exact words. Tanner Hook, Nick Pivetta, Garrett Whitlock. Okay, those are younger guys, but the only one of those guys that I'm like, okay, is Garrett Whitlock because Tanner Hook can't prove it on back-to-back games. Nick Pivetta is iffy. And you know what reinforcement they have right now is James Paxton.
The legend.
Exactly. But it's just like there's more players that you could trade at this deadline and get some value for. Like you could trade Justin Turner at the deadline and get value. You could trade Kike Hernandez at the deadline and get value. And you could still find a way to lock up Verdugo, especially since you're shedding some calorie sap. Yes, salary cap space.
Calorie sap. No, I mean, I feel like this argument is more in the fact that I was defending myself for my negative review of the Cubs at the beginning of the season, and that, a lot of things went wrong for the Red Sox as well. I expected Tristan Casas to have a big breakout. I expected Masataka Yoshida to cement himself as the top 10 left fielder in baseball. I obviously am still pretty high on Alberto Mondesi. He has a lot of potential, but he does have the, roid problem and the injury problem. But, hopefully when he comes back, he does, actually play over 130 games in a season for the first time ever. Trevor Story, I mean, I don't think it's time to say he's washed yet. I'm not ready to give up on him.
He's hurt.
Um, I know, the fact that we're not considering a star on this team, he could be a difference maker. I mean, this lineup is
well,
pretty stacked looking at it and the potential at least.
but he can't be the star this season that they need because he's hurt. So yeah, we're not going to talk about him like he's a star because he's not a factor currently.
We're talking about the future though.
I mean, yeah, but like, okay, I guess that's fair. But I don't know. He's not kind of. I guess you're right. When we're talking about kind of their future, he's not like. I don't know. I think I keep
Y'all never
forgetting
mention
him
him.
because
Yeah.
he is. Yeah, because he's hurt, and we're not really thinking about him. Is he supposed to come back like, and not like anytime soon, obviously, because like he's down. But like by the end of the season, is he supposed to be back?
Yeah.
I thought he was supposed
Okay.
to be back by the All-Star break or no,
Yeah.
after the All-Star break. Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
you mentioned Yoshida. He's actually been pretty good so far. 333 expected WOBA, which isn't horrible. 789 OPS. Jaren
And
Duran's been like
yes,
outside of
yes.
Adam Duvall, Jaren Duran's been their best like player pretty much all around. Low bar, but like Connor Wong, Christian Casas, Christian Arroyo, Kike Hernandez, all been really bad. Devers is fine. There's no worries there. Verdugo, it's Verdugo, Duran, and Devers and Yoshida. That part of their lineup has been pretty good all year round. Justin Turner's going to pretty much be exactly what he is right now. And if they can have Duvall come back as what he is, they're an offensive force to be reckoned with. But the issue is the pitching because they can't outpitch the Orioles, they can't outpitch the Blue Jays, they can't outpitch the Yankees, and they can't outpitch the other team that I just didn't say because I forgot which teams I already said.
That's a
Rays.
great point.
Rays.
Yeah, I mean, they're never just gonna give up though. I mean, we talked about this before. I'm just saying that this Red Sox team has a high floor on offense. And it also has a very low floor when it comes to pitching. And they are, I think, hitting that floor. I think if they did have, a good rotation or at least a pretty competent bullpen, they would be, a couple games over 500 instead of at 500. But I think the point of this conversation is stupid. I think that the Red Sox, I still stand by this. I think the Red Sox have a brighter future, but because they do have Marcelo Meyer coming up, and that would just be another bat and a
Cubs
very
have
good
Pete
glove in the
Crow
line.
Armstrong,
I'm taking Meyer over
and
Carl Armstrong, to be honest.
Christopher Morel is down in AAA right now and absolutely raking.
He's a Cub.
Yeah, I
No,
know.
yeah, I think that's what he's saying.
I
Okay.
was referring to the Cubs because again, I'm higher on the Cubs.
Also, Marcelo Meyer's ETA is 2025.
We're talking about the future. I swear, to God. I don't understand. Are we talking about in the future? Are we talking about right now? Let's just bring up every minor leaguer ever, and just like force them to start. No, this is a stupid argument. Go.
Okay. So
Yeah.
moving into something I introduced on Twitter the end of last week was the graveyard. So the graveyard is teams that have fallen out of playoff contention, or in this case, teams that failed to reach the start line, just to get them off the table, so we don't have to theoretically talk about them for playoff contention. Is the Colorado Rockies, the Washington Nationals, the Cincinnati Reds, the Oakland Athletics, who actually failed to reach the spring training start line, the Kansas City Royals, and the Detroit Tigers. Any arguments? Any objections?
I mean,
I think you
I'm a
could make an
little,
argument for the Reds, like that
I'm a little surprised. Yeah, Steves, go ahead.
that they didn't the Reds didn't reach the start line.
No.
Like,
Yeah, they didn't reach the start line.
So I would disagree with they didn't reach the start line, but I would say at this point in time they are out.
I will say I'm a little surprised that Detroit is third in the AL Central, but that just says more about how bad they are.
Okay, they're 8-13 in their third. You need context around that.
There is context, and they also have a really bad run differential too. But I feel like we're gonna talk about a team. Go ahead and go to the next section where we're talking about flirting with the graveyard, because there is one team in there that I think is already there.
Okay, we are flirting with the graveyard, and I'll say that team last. We obviously just talked a lot about the Red Sox. I don't think they're definitely like the farthest, least amount of feet or parts of the body in the grave right now. But they're flirting with it. The Red Sox are flirting with the graveyard. The Giants, Tom's guys, they're flirting with the graveyard. The Angels, we'll talk about them in a little bit. And I think Tom's team that's already in the graveyard, the Chicago White Sox.
I just don't see this team being healthy enough. I mean, given a healthy team, they're not bad. I'm telling you, they're not bad. But these guys can't stay healthy. And it's like there's so many moving pieces. How can they all be hurt? They are all hurt. They are very injured already. And I don't know. It's a horrible start to the season. The fact that they're below the Tigers, just says a lot. So they just, they started off the season a little hot, but they kind of hit a wall with some injuries.
Well, obviously Liam Hendrickson's recovering. Hopefully he'll be back soon. Everything is clear. He is cancer free, which is really good news for the White Sox and just baseball as a whole. Garrett Crochet may be back at some point this year, but Moncada's out, Anderson's out. Stevs and I talked about this. This is going to be a nice trade deadline team because Lance Lynn's up after this year. Mike Clevenger's up after this year. Kendall Graveman's up after this year. Joe Kelly's up after this year. Jake Diekman. What's up, sorry?
Giolito's up after this year too, and
Oh.
he's hurt. He's injured. I mean, you could still probably get something.
He's not.
for him.
He's on the bereavement list.
Oh, right.
I would like
Sorry.
to discuss my team, the San Francisco Giants. So, as we know,
They suck.
Giants are carrying a massive 3-game win streak. I'm just kidding, but we did split with the Mets. I took the first game in St. Louis. We lose to some really bad teams. Like some really bad teams. I mean, at right now, like the fact that we lost 2 out of 3 to Kansas City, 2 out of 2 to Detroit before getting the third one postponed, and then losing 2 out of 3 to Miami, and then somehow beating the Mets twice, who are arguably one of the better teams in baseball. It is interesting to me. But now it seems like a couple of guys are settling in. We are having some guys come back. Mitch Haniger just played his first game. Austin Slater, who was a really big role player in just being a good platoon bat in the lineup. They're coming back. And it seems like, I mean, we are dealing with some injuries, I will say. Luis Gonzalez being out, Darren Ruff being out. Roberto Perez is not a big deal. We don't care. Luke Jackson's been out for quite a while. But there's a lot of role players that are out right now, especially Alex Wood too, who we would probably like to have in our rotation right now. But I think with some of the guys coming back, it will be a little bit better. I am surprised to say that Tyler Rogers has been our best guy out of relief. He's been really good this season. He scares me so much when I watch him pitch, but he has been very effective this year, especially at limiting hard contact. He's always been that guy though. But especially this season and limiting hits too. So I'm definitely impressed with him. The pitching is either really good or really bad. There is no mid guys on this team. They are either good or bad. I mean, you have really good guys at the top of the rotation, and then the bottom just falls off. And I hope Gabe Kapler's learning how to let a pitcher go more than 3 innings. That's all I got to say. I think the offense will handle itself on its own. It's really just the pitching.
So Brad and I talked about this last episode, but we were talking like if it comes to the deadline and the guys that like it was like Manaya and I think Cobb, if like they're still like dealing like they are and are pitching to a high enough level, it wouldn't be the worst idea to move them to a team that needs pitching, like the Cardinals or the Mariners or something like that. Because you could probably get like Brad and I talked about maybe you going and getting like a Mason Wynn type player from the Cardinals in exchange for like two pitchers. And then or like going to the Mariners and because they're probably going to try and ship what we talked about Harry Ford, I think, right? Yeah. And because they might try and move Harry Ford to get some sort of pitching, and you could probably give up something for that.
I mean, as a Giants fan, I would honestly be pretty happy with that. It's a little upsetting because we're kind of having a breakout from a couple players. Like Tyler Estrada's looked very good this season. As a Giants fan, I would like to lock him down for a while. Conforto and Haniger, 2 guys that I would like to have for this rebuild, but I mean, I could see them as potential trade pieces in the future. I would personally love Mason Wynn and Harry Davis. Wait, what's his name?
Harry Ford.
Harry Ford. I get him mixed up with Henry Davis, dude. I don't know why. 2 catching prospects, you know me. But I don't know if it's time or not to rebuild.
It was time last year to rebuild, and you didn't.
That was the thing. The reason the Giants are flirting on the steps of the graveyard right now is because they didn't sell at last year's deadline.
Yeah.
Because it looks like the Diamondbacks are going to run away with the whole Giants Diamondbacks rivalry for this year. At least from the beginning.
It's way too early, and they've had a pretty relatively easier strength of schedule. At least to start the season. I mean,
they have the exact same strength of schedule for the rest of the season. So,
yeah. I mean, the fact that they're beating the Dodgers, first of all, makes me happy. But second of all, is a good sign as a team that they're pretty legit. Um, I'm not rooting against them. They are a division, but I've never really considered them rivals because they've never really been good. I guess if they continue to play good, I'll probably, eventually get pissed off and then start hating them, like Brad hates the Padres. But right now, I'm not too upset over it. I don't think it continues. I think they regress a little bit as a team.
And it's also like the thing is, right? In order for to justify not selling at the deadline, they have to make the playoffs. And I don't think they're a playoff caliber team.
Yeah, and I don't know if they are either. But it's just the problem is not only Farhan but also our GM. I mean, our owner. Sorry, they both feel as if they quote owe it to the fans, kind of like the Red Sox. They don't like selling. I don't think I've ever seen a Giants like tear down really.
Mhm.
Guys like the Learners or I mean, guys that are willing to tear down to rebuild probably are smarter in the long run. We've seen it a lot more recently. But I think they're playing it old school in the fact that they really don't want to let the fans down because I mean, when you do rebuild, it's bad for ticket sales, it's bad for fans, it's a depressing time. Steves, I know you know what I'm talking about, but it will be good for you in the long run. And I just don't know if the GM is willing to make that decision. I don't know if the owner is willing to do that.
Another team we mentioned there, the Angels, right? They're kind of creeping on the graveyard right now because unlike all teams, they have until the trade deadline to figure out whether they're a playoff team or not. Some teams can, figure it out in August and make a lead season push, but they have, possibly the biggest free agent of all time in Shohei Ohtani, where he's basically said, if I'm not competing by the deadline, I will be traded. And the Angels, you might look at them. And they're third in the NL West. And as of Monday, they were in 11-11. Right now, they're 11-12. They lost last night to the Oakland Athletics in 11 innings. I believe the final was 11-10. Great pitching duel. 4 of their batters with at least 15 plate appearances have an OPS plus above 100. Only 4 of them. And one of those players, Logan O'Hoppe, is now out for the season with a torn labrum. That's not very good. Their expected stats are absolutely poor. They have 2 guys that are above average. Logan O'Hoppe was about a 353 expected WOBA, which is pretty good. But past that, everyone else has just been horrible. Their starting pitching, their bullpen, as we talked about recently, has actually been pretty solid. Like as of the past 10 games, Shohei Ohtani, very, very good. But past that, Reed Detmers is okay right now. Griffin Canning, not good. Patrick Sandoval, not good. Tyler Anderson, outright horrible. Jose Suarez, outright horrible.
I mean, as a baseball fan, regardless of what's going to happen, we're going to see Shohei in the playoffs. This is an absolute victory for me, whether he's on the Angels or not. I just want to see Shohei in the playoffs. But at the same time, I want to see Mike Trout in the playoffs. So I want the Angels team to make it. I don't think they deserve it because their GM is an idiot and their owner is an idiot. But I mean, they've put together a playoff worthy team that could potentially make a run. With that being said, I don't think they do it. I literally don't think they do. I don't think they're better than the Mariners. I don't think they're better than, let me just go through non-wildcard teams right now. I don't think they're better than Houston. I don't think they're better than Cleveland. I don't think they're better than Seattle. I think there's a lot of teams that they're not better than that they wouldn't win one-on-one on. So I don't know. There's nothing that stands out, but I don't know.
And the one that made me really think about that. Did you see the YouTube video that Jolly Olive posted? I think it was a day
About
or two ago. It was about the 2002 Angels.
No, I watched a different one talking about how bad the owner was, but that was a different little mini documentary. I saw the title. What was it about?
It was about the 2002 Angels that won the World Series and just the improbable run they went on. It was like a team that didn't make the playoffs, were a losing team. And then they went on this absolute streak to make the postseason. And they beat the Yankees, they beat the Twins, and they went to the World Series and they
Don't say
beat
it.
the
Don't say it. Don't
Giants.
say it. Don't say. Oh
Uh,
my God.
but the thing that I wanted to hit was I don't think I've ever seen Angel Stadium be hopping. I want to see Angel Stadium with Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani, kind of like Miami was for the World Baseball Classic.
I can confirm that. No, I actually liked my Angels stadium experience as someone that's been there. I'm not gonna say they're bad fans. They actually are pretty energetic. It was actually pretty crowded.
But I want to
And
see it packed.
yeah, they also got helmet nachos, man. That's a good. Sorry, that's all I gotta say. The
Tom, almost
helmet nachos.
every place has helmet nachos.
No, if they got like the good ones, they got like really big helmet. Yeah, and I dropped my first one, and I had to get a second one, dude. Sorry, that's all. My Angels experience is great, though. I really do think that the fans deserve it. They are actually a lot nicer than Dodgers fans. I will say, I wore my Giants jersey to both stadiums, and I got yelled at by Dodgers fans and talked to by Angels fans about life. I'm like, these are just genuinely nice people that deserve it. And plus the team hasn't been good in forever. They deserve to at least make somewhat of a push. That was kind
That's
of a
why they're
tangent.
nice, Tom. That's why they're nice because they haven't won anything. They have no right to be mean.
Super chill people. I love the Angels, man. It's just too bad that their ownership is really bad.
So I don't know. They're definitely flirting with the graveyard, especially when we talked about it last time. Jeff Passan came out and was basically like, if the Angels don't make the playoffs, Otani's leaving, which is like kind of feels like you're beating a dead horse. In all honesty, like obviously, if they don't make the playoffs, he's gone. Like that, I don't know. It's just. I think we want the Angels team to be better than it is, because we want Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani, and all those guys to be in the playoffs and high leverage games like we saw in the World Baseball Classic. But we might not ever see it happen for one of the two of them. And by one of the two of them, I mean Mike Trout, because he literally just came out and was like, I want to win a championship in Anaheim. I'm not even worried about the Philly rumors or whatever, because he was talking about how every time he goes to Philly, he hears stuff about how people want him to go to Philly and blah blah blah, because that's his hometown team. But he loves Anaheim, he loves Los Angeles, and he wants to win a title for those fans. It's never going to happen though.
Brad, I noticed you gave the baseball savant pages for pitchers and hitters. And I honestly believe that the second one does it more justice in the other direction. I feel like it kind of shows that maybe the pitching staff is not that bad. I feel like when you look at a baseball team and their expected WOBA stats, what I'm looking at right now, this diagram or this chart, it's above average. I think there's having only two guys with a expected WOBA below average is above average for a major league pitching staff. It's just the bats. I think the bats are more of a problem. I think the pitching's actually been more reliable this season. I think generally speaking, this is a decent pitching staff, a good pitching staff. Some would
They're
say.
16th in baseball as a staff and expected WOBA.
I mean that's right around the middle of the pack. Wait. 16th in expected WOBA?
Yeah,
What's the last guy?
Jose Suarez. It was
Jose
my point
Suarez.
though. That was my point.
Yeah.
The bullpen's been okay. It's the bottom two are starters. You go up a couple. Patrick Sandoval and Griffin Canning are back to back, and it's really just Ohtani and somewhat Detmers that's been pretty solid.
I think they might buy out pitching sorry, not the offseason, the deadline if they need it. I mean, they're going to need it. I mean, they dropped 10 runs on the A's. That's not surprising, but the fact that they gave up 11 runs to the A's while giving up something like 7 or 8 home runs to the Oakland Athletics is terrible. I mean, that was a Jose Suarez start, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I think you gotta. Is there any pitching in their system that is major league ready or at least semi decent?
No.
This team is screwed. Okay.
Okay.
You have to call up one of the 20 draft prospects.
So Tom, you prompted the question, who is Brent Rooker going to be traded to? Those of you that don't know, he is an athletics player that has actually been pretty solid this year. Last night against the Angels, I believe he had 2 home runs. And he's pretty much been one of the only bright spots on the Open Athletics. He's actually been one of the best players in baseball, 99th percentile and expected WOBA. He kind of just came out of absolutely nowhere. He's been pretty much a journeyman his entire career. He was on the Royals and Padres last year, Twins for the 2 previous seasons. He never really had an OPS above, 579 this year, or sorry, 960 his rookie year when all of 19 at-bats. This year, he's at a 1.170 OPS through 48 at bats.
I mean, the peripherals look promising too. Something has changed. I mean, the exit velocity has gone up significantly. He's launching the ball better than he ever has. I mean, everything looks good about him. I don't know if this is something that he can, maintain for an entire season, but it looks promising. He seems to have made some sort of adjustment that's, sticking for him. I mean, if he keeps this approach, I don't see why he doesn't, continue this.
I think it's gonna regret because, excuse me, 23.1% bail rate is not sustainable. But if you look at what he's done throughout his career, like he's always done a pretty good job of barreling the baseball. Like in 2020, he had a 395 expected WOBA, 2021, 341. It was just last year in 21 batted balls that he was the worst he had been.
I'm a believer in this guy. I think I'm not sure if he's had. He might have actually had two multi-home run games already. I'm not sure about that, but I know he's had one. I think he has to be
Yeah,
someone that gets moved at the deadline. I'm more worried about what team is looking for a guy like this. You know,
any team, in all honesty.
I mean, yeah, this is a
It's a
difference
good
maker.
bench bet.
No, he's
No,
not a good
you
bench.
play
He's a good
this.
start.
You
He's a good
play it.
start bet.
Yeah.
He's a good starting bet. I mean, he's been very good. The only thing that might be a cause for concern is the swing and miss rate, but he doesn't strike out that much. He just whiffs. What does that mean? What kind of prototype is that? I've never seen,
That means he
so
swings very, very hard.
like a guy with a good discipline at the plate, which is something. Has he ever had a good discipline at the plate? Has he ever had a good walk percentage? Because this is the best. He's doubled his walk percentage, cut his strikeout percentage in half, is now hitting the ball harder. Did he go to like drive line? Is that for hitters too? Is that is that
Yeah.
is that just Did he go to drive line or some
Maybe he didn't get his
external?
bat speed worked on.
It seems like he has made a lot of adjustments, and this seems not necessarily sustainable, but I think he's a guy that might, finish the year with a, 850 OPS type of guy. I think he will be a valuable player at the deadline. Is he a first base or left field? I've seen
He's
him
a
at
left
both.
fielder.
Okay. Um, Damn, there's a lot of teams that could use that. So I mean,
You know
yeah,
who would be a really good spot for this guy?
where?
The Los Angeles Angels.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't beat him, join him, dude. Just trade for him,
Let's being serious.
Wait, you were?
Yeah,
I mean, if you're gonna try and get another outfielder, I would try and give Joe Adell a chance. He's been doing so well in the minors. I think it's time you give him another chance. He has like 8 home runs this month, Brad. You got to give him a chance before going for Brent Rooker, a guy who you've already seen what happens when the Angels go and sign someone with one breakout season, Brandon Drury. It doesn't work well for them. So I maybe going for a guy that's homegrown might be safer.
how
Or you
how,
could
how safe was it the past 2 seasons?
maybe you could trade Joe Adell for Brent Rooker. I mean. I don't know what they do, but there's a lot of teams that are going to need
You
a
better get
guy
a
like
lot more than just Brent or whatever Brent Rooker.
Brenter. Yeah,
Yeah, for Joe Adele. But you know what? Athletics, good guy. He'll get moved at the deadline. Probably Jesus Aguilar is going to be there. Um, I don't even know if Fujinami is worth a trade at this point.
he's
At
got
this point in
upside. I
time, no.
think he's gonna be someone that I think teams are gonna be interested in him. I think especially like those big pitching factories, maybe the Rays, the
Yeah.
Dodgers, or the
If
Giants.
the Rays get their hand on him, yeah.
The thing is, the Rays don't need to go out and buy relievers. They will just build them in a lab. They will
Yeah,
foster them in a
I mean,
controlled
I
neighborhood.
don't think he's going to command that much value
No,
financially. That's the thing. Like, you could literally go and sign him for
he
like
is
a
he is a good
couple
fit for
million
them.
and make him like a star.
yeah. And
He just
then
needs
Tom,
control.
you had
Oh, what's happening?
your buys and sells.
Let's enter those buys and sells. First one. I don't know if any of you guys are gonna buy any of these. Jorge Mateo continues his breakout season and cements himself as a top 5 shortstop in baseball.
So
Stevs, you go ahead first.
Okay. So I was a Jorge Mateo believer, right? I'm not gonna buy, but only because of your wording.
was literally my exact words earlier.
Yeah, I know, but I was agreeing with you on that one. But he's not gonna be a top 5 shortstop in baseball. But he is. I think he's going to continue his breakout season and become in the upper of shortstops in baseball.
So let me revamp this question. If Jorge Mateo swipes 20 bags and has an OPS plus at 120 plus, and manages to keep flashing the power as he has, the extra base hits as he has, do you consider him a top 5 at the end of the season? Because he has a good glove. It's a little down this season, but he's been known for his glove in the past. That's going to come back. His outs above average are going to go up. I promise you. The 55th percentile is not very pleasing to look at, but I promise you it is a lot higher than that. I don't see why he's not. He genuinely has the potential to be a 5-tool shortstop, which is, something we haven't really seen in a while because there hasn't been someone that has like all 5 tools at short. That would make sense. With that new question though, would you consider him a top 5 in baseball?
I would consider him a top 10.
Brett says?
He's that question is like completely. You added like 70 things. You're like, if he's 20 stolen bases with a good glove and power and like, yeah, obviously if he has all 5 tools. Yeah, obviously he's a top
If you made a
shortstop.
5-tool player,
If you make
I'm not.
if you say Jorge Mateo is a
you
5-tool
guys
player,
messed up.
you're double barreling the question.
I'm saying that if he continues what he's doing right now, which is pretty nice. He's been looking nice. If he continues
but
that,
the thing is, he's not. He has the rest of the things. He doesn't have the glove right now. You even said that, right?
God, you're so biased. Recency bias is crazy.
No. But you're saying if he continues on the pace he is right now, which means he hits for power, has a great bat, but doesn't have the glove. That's the thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I like Jorge Mateo going into the season, but I feel like we'll move on. I'm gonna buy it. I'm buying my own take. That's right.
Okay.
I'm buying it. Okay.
So I like the take. I'm just you're it's weird.
Yeah. I mean, I am selling that because there's a couple shortstops that he'd have to surpass to be a top 5 in baseball. He'd have to be better than Trey Turner, better than Corey Seager, better than Xander Bogaerts, better than Francisco Lindor, better than Dansby Swanson, better than Carlos Correa, better than Bo Bichette, better than Willie Adames, better than Wander Franco. And that if he was better than all of those guys, he'd be number 1. And if he was worse than all of those, the max he would be is number 10.
Like I said, I could see him being in the top 15 to 10 to
Bro, I could be in the top 15. Put me out there.
Fred, no. Get him out of there. All right, moving on to the second buy or sell. I don't know about this one. Sonny Gray finishes top 3 in AL Cy Young voting.
Sell. He'll get hurt.
Sell. Yeah, I'm selling.
The only reason
I say that is because there's guys like Garrett Cole. Sorry. Shane McClanahan. Sorry.
Garrett Cole.
If Jacob DeGrom can survive, Kevin Gausman has looked good too. I mean, there's a guy that I haven't mentioned yet. His name's Shohei Ohtani. I don't know if you've heard of him. There's a lot of good players, pitchers in the AL. I don't know. If he continues his pace, he's looking very good. I think he currently has the ERA title, but it's been like 4 weeks. So it's not that much. So, but there's potential there. I'm selling though. Stevs, I'm gonna start with you on this next one. Does Sean Murphy become the best catcher in baseball by the end of the season?
No, again, I already said I think it's going to be Adley Rutschman by the end of the season, and I'm sticking with that, so I'm selling it.
Brad, I don't know what to do. I think
I'll probably sell that just because, like, before Will Smith got hurt, he was the best this year so far. Adley Rutschman's been struggling a little bit this year. At least recently, like his past 10 games, he's been struggling a lot. I'm gonna sell that, but I don't think JT Realmuto will be number 1 after the season.
That's a good point. I'll buy that any day.
That's a buy.
I think it's just between those top 3 guys being Adley, Will Smith, and Sean Murphy. But I will buy my own take because why not? Sean Murphy, he hits home runs. He might be a guy that hits like 30 home runs this year. And as a catcher, that's impressive. That's something we haven't really seen since, I don't know. But for our last buy or sell, Brad, did you write this down?
Yeah.
All right, let's ask Stevs this one. Stevs, buy or sell, Pittsburgh.
I personally am going to sell Pittsburgh. I don't think that they will continue on this pace for this season. They do have the pieces, and with what Maggie, he the
Maj.
33-year-old Maji that just came up. He's got an opportunity to play.
There's been an adjustment.
But will he play is the question.
So I think what we're gonna do here is kind of change it to an over/under type of thing.
Okay.
Do you think that Brad? What do you think's a good? He's just counting now. I think let's just do this. Pittsburgh over/under 500. Do you think they finish over 500 or below 500?
They're
I'm gonna
They
take
are
the
a
hit.
500
I'm gonna take the
team.
hit.
What? No, that's not how it works.
No, you
Oh,
gotta
you mean
do.
like
You
they
see how
finish
I
at
have like a
500?
78.5 here?
Yeah.
Um,
You think they're gonna have more than 78.5 wins,
yeah.
but not go over 81 or 82? Sorry, what 81? Yeah.
It's his
Okay.
first day.
I said hit, which means exactly 81.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
81. I think that's
Yeah, like I
possible.
said,
I think that's
I
possible.
think they are a 500 team.
I will
The
take
real
the
question is
over
though,
on 78.5 and the under on 81.
the real thing is they did just extend Brian Reynolds to what was it? It was 7 years? It was 7 years, right?
I
Am I
believe it was 7 years.
with a
Very,
it was
very
7 years. Yeah. And there was an option for the 2031 season, I believe.
God, the ownership is a little confusing to me because some teams have this very solid plan that even the fans can see, and then there's teams like the Red Sox, Cubs, Pirates now, who are doing a little bit of both. I'm a little confused as to what the idea is there, but I mean the team isn't bad. A lot, but at the same time, a lot is going right for this Pirates team right now. Steves, you got something to say?
So it's 8 years, 106.75 million with a club option for 2031, which is weird that it's a club option because I felt like Reynolds would have wanted a player option, but I don't know. It's a very team friendly contract with the Pirates, but so that there's a lot more factors now for when they get into the draft. Former Giants legend Brian Reynolds will be a Pirate for the next 7 to 8 years. I don't know. I like the signing for the Pirates for Brian Reynolds. I don't like the signing, because I think he's worth more than that. It's going to be very interesting with how because he has a no trade clause as well.
A modified
Along
no
with
trade
that,
clause.
a modified no trade clause. Yeah, I know. I really like the deal for the Pirates, and I'm not going to say that they're going to be a competitive team this year. I think they can finish around 500. I'd buy in on that, but I'm not going to buy in on them making the playoffs.
Do you think Jack Swinski truly finishes the season with a breakout?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could see it.
So I do like the future for this team. Contreras, while being their ace, has not looked, fantastic, but it is, inflated by that one start. Rich Hill will not be there for the rebuild, but he'll probably be watching from his rocking chair in about 5 years. Mitch Keller's been looking good. Vinny Vila will not be there. And then you got some younger guys. David Bednar's looked like a reliever of the year candidate right now. O'Neal Cruz is part of that future. Unfortunately, not playing right now. Connor Joe's been having a breakout season. Do you guys believe that is sustainable for him as well?
I mean, Connor Joe was always like a solid hitter. He was never anything spectacular because you couldn't really tell what he was outside of Colorado. So, like, seeing what he is in a consistent, like, ball moving environment, I think that'll help.
Yeah.
I mean, you also have to take into account they have the first overall pick this year, which most likely is going to be Dylan Cruz.
If it's not, they're freaking stupid.
I personally, as a Nationals fan, I would love for it not to be Dylan Cruz.
Y'all
mean,
about
that's
to take,
but again-
y'all about to
Very-
take Paul Skeens, and that's a mistake in itself.
Yeah, I know. But you know, we'll deal with that when it comes.
That's a
I don't know.
good. That's a good infield for the future.
What?
The
What?
Pirates' future infield.
Dylan Cruz is an outfielder.
Sorry, did I say infield?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Murph.
Okay, hold on 1 second. That's a good outfield for the Pirates in the future, though. I mean, having the outfield of Jack Swinski, Brian Reynolds, and then Dylan Cruz for however long in the future is very good. And then you also have a pretty good infield in Brian Hayes, O'Neill Cruz. Whoever you have at second base, it might be Tamar Johnson in the future. I really do like his bat speed. Carlos Santana probably won't be there, but there is a future for this team. Henry Davis, also coming up in the future too. Not that good though.
Andy Rodriguez, though.
I like Andy Rodriguez. I'm not impressed. I think Henry Davis should be traded eventually. You know, actually, if the Pirates are contending, do they trade Henry Davis for, something that they need?
You do not push for the playoffs this year.
I mean, yeah, I agree. Sorry, you had a little voice crack.
Hey, they're gonna be good for years to come, though, and that's really what matters.
Yeah.
Aiden Franklin.
It aged perfectly. I really do think this team is actually building something here. I don't know about this bullpen. I don't know any names in this bullpen other than David Bednar, but actually Will Crow too. But other than that, they do need to build up that bullpen a little bit. But the lineup for the future is looking good. Pittsburgh, you did it. You rebuilt without spending like any money at all. But it's working. Just not this season.
All right. So I'm checking through. That was all of our buyers sells so far for this week. Tom might come back with some for next week. And that sends us to our weekly stimulator, where we go through the current playoff structure, simulate it. Week 1, I believe we had the Rays. Last week we had the Braves. Week 3, will we have a repeat? Wait, no, it would be a repeat because a Brave Pete. All right. So in the American League wild card, we have the Minnesota Twins hosting the New York Yankees. Tom.
I'm going with the Twins. I feel like defense wins championships. I don't think this Yankees team is crazy legit, and I think that the Twins pitching is good enough to shut them down for 3 games or 2. Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna go with the Twins too, but I don't know. I watched the Nats Twin series, and their defense was not that good throughout that series. I don't know what was happening, but like Michael A. Taylor was just making mental errors. Who's their third baseman? Max Kepler. He just absolutely botched a throw over to Joey Gallo. I don't know. And then the pitching was not all that good. Like Pablo Lopez did not look that good in game 2. I don't know. But I'm still going to take the Twins in the overall series. I do think their pitching is much better than it is when they play the Washington Nationals.
Okay. Orioles, Blue Jays.
Blue Jays still.
I'm going to take the Blue Jays as well.
Okay.
It's just a bad. I trust the Blue Jays pitching slightly more than the Orioles pitching.
See, I was not going to be on the same page as y'all. Blue Jays in 3.
Wait, what?
Blue Jays won it in 3.
Okay.
Because you guys both won one Blue Jay. I won one Oriole. So
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Diamondbacks hosting the Cubs.
Diamondbacks. Cubs are frauds. Go
Give me
Diamondbacks.
the Cubs.
Don't say it, Brad. Your team is getting destroyed by 1. Actually,
Cubs.
no. Actually,
Tom,
that's fair. Dodgers lost the series to both teams.
Yeah. Have you beaten us? All right. So then we also have the Brewers versus the Mets.
Mets.
I'm taking the Mets. I feel like the Brewers' offense has cooled off pretty significantly. Their pitching is still good, but I don't know.
So
Brad, you
disappointed.
disagree with us?
I disagree. Brewers and Mets in 3. All right. Going to the ALDS, we got the Rays hosting the Blue Jays for a set of 5. I have the Rays.
Rays in 1.
Rays in half a game.
Okay. The Rays are moving on to the ALCS. The Rangers hosting the Twins.
I got the Rangers. They've actually continued to look good. I think. I just think their offense is. I said this for the Yankees, but I feel like that. I don't know. I feel I'm going against
Twins.
No. Yeah, Rangers. Brad, what are your thoughts? See, if Seager's
Pitching
back,
goes Twins. Rangers don't have Corey Seager.
no, but they will. They will for postseason.
No, but this is as of right now.
Stimulator. Ugh.
But Corey Seager would technically would be back
Yes.
through, like, he would come back at some point during these theoretical playoffs,
Yeah.
probably around when the Rangers beat the Twins.
Woo!
All right, Pirates hosting the Mets.
Interesting series.
Pirates. I'm
I-
serious about that.
Wait, what? Oh, when you
I'm
say-
serious. Pirates.
I'm still taking the Mets.
Let me. Have they gone head to head this season yet?
No.
No, they have not.
Give me the Pirates. I'm
Let's
going with the
go.
Pirates.
Pirates make the NLCS. All right. Braves hosting the Cubs. 3, 2, 1, Braves.
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 All right. ALCS. The week 1 champion Rays versus the Texas Rangers. Stabs started off.
Wait, who has the? Yeah, the Rays have the higher seed. Give me the Rays.
You literally just going off of higher seed.
Steph, come on now.
No. They get home field advantage.
I mean, the Trop ain't
No.
much of an advantage.
Yeah.
They're 14-0 at home.
Okay.
Okay.
That's-
I'm still
that's-
taking the Rays.
what?
I mean, I don't see it being too close. I think the Rangers could go have that dog in them to go on a run, but
Yeah, I was gonna say Rangers. I'm feeling Philly vibes, but you guys are no fun.
ruined it. I can't take
Um,
it back. I'll do it later. I'll keep it
Braves Pirates.
later.
Get Braves.
We
I'm not.
we
we're
all
not
want to
playing.
do it. We all want to.
I'm
Yes,
letting you
but
both
Braves.
not win.
No.
The Pirates are going to the World Series. Brad,
Pirates.
yes.
Oh my God.
Okay. Here's the thing. Spencer Strider absolutely deals, and then just out of left field, throwing all of that 69-mile-an-hour curveball. Rich Hill shuts down the elite Atlanta Braves offense.
Yep.
Marcelo Zuna lines one into the dugout, hits the ball off of 3 of his teammates in the same at bat,
That can happen. Physics.
and
I
then
know.
strikes out and dislocates his shoulder.
Yep.
I would rather him be in the lineup if I want the Braves to lose.
That's
N-
true.
That's true. He dislocates Ron Washington. All right.
Okay.
Rays versus Pirates.
Steps, go ahead. No, Brad, you go first, actually.
Rays.
Damn it. It's over. Rays.
The improbable run.
Rays. What? I
Just
didn't even want the
just like
Pirates
last
in the World
season,
Series. So
The Philly run is over.
Yeah. The Phillies and Pirates are the same exact team. Pirates are better than the Phillies right now. That's kind of what's great about baseball. It's also, we're 5 days away from there being a month of baseball. And then we will have one more episode coming out this week on Friday. And then to kick off your week next week, we've got our April team of the month. The all April the 4 All-Stars? No, I don't know. There'll be an All-Star team for the month of April. For those that don't know yet, we're doing it kind of like a cumulative version. So it's like April, May, June, because All-Star voting is stupid. We're right, they're wrong. Thank you all for listening to the 4A Baseball Podcast. If you've enjoyed, please consider leaving a rating, review, sharing with a friend. If you want to interact with us at all social media links will be in the description below. See you all next time on the 4A Baseball Podcast. Peace.